Okay, hi, good afternoon. Hi everyone, I'm Phoebe, Moledao's community manager. Let me briefly introduce Moledao. Moledao is a blockchain developer community founded last August and backed by YB. We aim to help early Web3 startups such as startups succeed, such as projects like YAPDAO. Today I'm very happy to have the opportunity to introduce a very new and very good project, YAPDAO. We are honored to invite AJ, the CEO of YAPDAO, to introduce his project. At the same time, AJ will also share his insights on DeFi and DEX. And remember, this time we do YouTube Live and Twitter audio sharing at the same time. So if you have any questions you want to ask the guest, AJ, you can leave a message in the chat area. After AJ shares, I will help you to ask. Okay, so let's start. AJ, nice to meet you. So can you introduce yourself and your role at YAPDAO? I guess you can chat in more detail so that our audience, our friends can know more about you.
Yeah, I'm excited to do so. So my name is AJ. I'm the CEO. I'm very honored to have been chosen as the CEO, as a founding member. I'm located in America. It's actually quite late here, so please excuse me if I look a little bit sleepy. It's 10 o'clock on the dot. Very excited to be here. Very excited to have everyone here. Just want to remind people to stay tuned until the end of the AMA so that you can collect your $5 in upcoming YAP tokens that will be released on November 10th. A little bit about myself. I began mining in 2013. At that time, there were no exchanges listed, and the only way that you could buy Bitcoin was actually person to person. So this involved knowing somebody who was probably mining coins or knew somebody who was mining coins. There was no Binance, there was no BitMEX, there was no FTX. It was strictly person to person. In the early days, I was learning to trade, all while scoping out new projects. It was a big part of my business model was to be checking every day on Bitcoin Talk for, at that time, we called anything that wasn't Bitcoin was referred to as an altcoin. So in the early days, I mined Litecoin. I mined a lot of different projects, Dogecoin being one of them. I wish I had held on to that one. Unfortunately, I didn't hold enough of my Dogecoin. And anyways, and eventually, DeFi wasn't even an idea in that time because it wasn't until Ethereum came along and we had smart contracts that you could even build something like a DEX or anything to do with DeFi. And it was around that time that the first major centralized exchange failure happened. You might have heard of Mt. Gox. And Mt. Gox, to me, was the first, I would say, alarm bell or a canary in the mine to say that, something can be improved upon within the space. And even to this day, people are still trying to get their money back from the Mt. Gox fiasco. So with the advent of smart contracts, we have started to be able to build decentralized applications that let us do the same thing that Mt. Gox was doing all those years ago, but completely outside of a centralized point of failure or anything to do with KYC. And that's where I really see the power and the prosperity of digital currencies. It's not actually being a currency, but being a platform to exchange value across borders limitlessly. So, is there any questions or anything to do with that you'd like me to elaborate on possibly?
Okay, fantastic. Very amazing experience. I believe our friends, our audiences, learned a lot. So maybe we can more focus on your project, your YAPDAO. So can you briefly introduce, not briefly, give more detail, introduce YAPDAO, vision, mission,
Well, the story is kind of cool because the Yappies Island and the people there used what we describe as the first belief-based currency system. And if you think about it, all of our currency nowadays is belief-based. It's kind of universal. So we've taken that a step further and become trustless by entrusting that to the blockchain and utilizing several things that have already been proven in another DeFi application called Olympus DAO. But I'm going to tell you about the ways that we've improved upon it at the end of the presentation. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about DeFi as a whole and what I personally saw was wrong with it and where the opportunity for YAPDAO comes into play. But essentially, what's important from that is that we've seen this work with Olympus DAO. We are just taking that model and making it better.
Okay, so that's all?
Well, like I said, sorry, I'm trying to stick to the way I have it mapped out in my head. So I want to come back to YAPDAO after I've talked more about DeFi, liquidity provision, a lot of stuff within it. I'm sorry.
Awesome.
I want to set the context, you know?
Okay, great. Awesome. Thank you, AJ. Very nice vision and very wonderful, I think, project. After listening to it, it's obvious that YAPDAO and DeFi are closely related. So, yeah, what do you think are the difficulties or deficiencies of current DeFi landscape, DEX landscape, and what are the major challenges and opportunities in DeFi DEX?
Well, I'd like to bring back, you know, we saw with Ethereum was square one in the beginning, and it allowed us through smart contracts to start to build these decentralized ecosystems. And it's very, very powerful. Like I cannot describe how amazing it is to be able to do everything that I used to trust to Binance or BitMEX, to be able to do that without Binance or BitMEX. Because there's an old saying in cryptocurrency, not your keys, not your coins, which means when you trust your crypto to an exchange, you are trusting your entire balance of money in somebody else's pocket, which I don't know if you guys have ever done that, but I try my best not to trust my money in somebody else's pocket. So why I think DeFi is very powerful is we are able to do the same functions as an exchange, but entirely decentralized on the blockchain. There's no limits of borders. We exchange value, whatever it may be, whatever we decide, without somebody telling us that we cannot do that. On top of that, one of the beautiful things is that within exchanges and brokers, there's something called a market maker, and they're a firm that makes money by creating the buys and sells that everybody uses to get their coins. So when I go and buy Bitcoin on exchange, for the most part, it's not actually from another individual. It's probably from a market maker. And those market makers get special interests from the exchange to provide a service. But DeFi has discovered a way to put that power and give that power and that ability to make a profit to the people. And that's automated market makers. So Ethereum was the first one with Uniswap to give people the power to create liquidity pools and create liquidity tokens. But it is still in its infancy. It is still very, very young. And we are finding over time ways to improve the existing model. And we think that Olympus DAO is very, very close, but there was still a few things that could be changed to better suit not just the clients, but the longevity and the prosperity of the entire system as a whole. So, I talk a lot and I want to give a chance to the audience to ask questions and stuff. So Phoebe, I guess that's your side of things. Is everybody keeping up to pace with what I'm saying?
Let me check. Yeah. If you have any questions, you can put on chat box, or you can, request open your mic. Let me check the YouTube link. All right, maybe we can go ahead. Our audiences, no questions here. So
no questions.
But
cool.
I totally agree with what you said. I think DeFi should be developed in a more sustainable way. It helps us a lot. So can you tell me more about how YAPDAO works? How YAPDAO solves some key problems?
Well, YAPDAO is modeled around Olympus DAO, which utilizes a treasury system that the treasury aims to mint coins and provide a reserve currency. Excuse me.
It helps us a lot. Sorry. I just click on YouTube live stream, so I want to check the chat box.
For sure. Take your time. Take your time.
Go ahead.
So, sorry, just trying to pick up where I left off. So in terms of YAPDAO, we're aiming to fix some of these shortcomings, but I want to first talk about, I spoke about the value that DeFi has created for us. I want to talk about the instances where DeFi can be improved. And first, it's going to take giving a little bit of context of what some of these terms are. So a market maker and an automated market maker, and people are probably familiar with liquidity provision and LP tokens. And I want to, so that I'm not losing people when I go further into detail, just explain what the function of a liquidity token actually is and when you create them, and what YAPDAO is able to do better than the contemporary models that we have. So when you go on a DeFi protocol like Uniswap and you want to buy Ethereum, what you're doing is going and executing a market into the liquidity providers. And those liquidity providers are people who have put up equal parts of Ethereum and whatever you're trading from. So probably Tether. Unfortunately, the model that we have right now, it doesn't really favor the individuals who are putting up the liquidity. There's something called impermanent loss, and people will hear this thrown around time and time again. The easy explanation of impermanent loss is if one side of your liquidity token, because you've put up Ethereum and Tether, if Ethereum gains in value, then you have experienced impermanent loss where you should have probably just held on to Ethereum. Okay. So it's a little bit difficult to wrap your head around. And what we see within the DeFi space is trying to make up for that impermanent loss by offering higher APY. And that's where getting into chasing the high yields can be profitable only if you're willing to do the work of chasing the high yields. And the way that YAPDAO solves that issue is the treasury, when you bond to the treasury is looking to increase its own yields and gain income itself. So you are not experiencing impermanent loss because you are receiving the Dream Reserve token, which has its own ecosystem. It's a little bit complex, but it's easy to understand if you watch some of the videos of Olympus DAO. They explain it very well. The big difference, which we're going to have, is more limits on how quickly you're able to spend your profits from the system. Is that we think that there needs to be a little bit stricter provisions there in order to increase the longevity of the entire ecosystem.
Okay, great. Actually, now I collected 2 questions. Deji asked, hey, Andrew, would like to hear your thoughts on the cons of Olympus DAO and what's YAPDAO countermeasures?
Sorry, can you repeat that one time? Olympus DAO and DAO's countermeasures?
It might not question. Would love to hear your thoughts on the cons of Olympus DAO and what's YAPDAO countermeasures. It may just thanks to you. But another question is, how is the global market going?
Okay, sorry, I'm still unsure of the first question, but I can answer the second question and then we can come back to it. Maybe you can type it to me somehow.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. How will you? Oh, that's a brilliant question. Okay, sorry, somebody forwarded along to me. So I'll answer the second one first. Admittedly, the global market right now is not doing that well, but I will say it's for reasons that are outside of crypto's control. And we did not expect there to be a war in Ukraine. We did not expect there to be a global pandemic. We did not expect rising interest rates that are squeezing families right now and forcing them to choose whether they want to heat their home or eat. And unfortunately, that has a negative effect on markets as a whole because people are worried first about eating and second about investing. So the global market right now could definitely be better. The great thing about that is it going to get much worse? Probably not. Like there are a lot of economists and a lot of really smart people whose outlook is positive in the long run, and especially when it comes to cryptocurrency. As even in the last couple of days as a day trader, I've noticed that the NASDAQ and Bitcoin, which usually move together, have started to move apart. So it doesn't necessarily mean the old reserve or store of value meme is a definite thing, but it's nice to see that people do see cryptocurrency as an answer to their problems in various times. Like a good example is Turkey and even Great Britain is showing a lot of dollars inflowing into the crypto markets because they're experiencing economic turmoil. So it goes to show that when people are in trouble, they turn to cryptocurrency.
Yeah, got it. Great. Okay, come back to the first question. Yeah, Dejian he want to know the shortcomings of Olympus DAO and how YAPDAO solve the problem.
Well, the first major issue is solved by the staking protocol and limiting how much you can actually take out. So the staking and the unlock times for our protocol is going to be a lot longer. We're not worried too much about the effects of it. We just want to see, what comes in the coming months. And that's the great thing about having a governance token as well, is that we get to test various ideas and see how the market reacts to it. And if there is a solution that a community member has, they can put it up to be adopted by YAPDAO. But first and foremost, we've decided that we're going to have longer unlock periods for YAPDAO than Olympus DAO, which will hopefully mitigate a lot of the issues that Olympus faced.
Got it. Hope your question, has been solved. Okay, let's go ahead. Another guy asked, when YAPDAO, when you plan to launch YAPDAO, and what are the future financing plans?
So we're looking to finalize launching, is all happening next month, early next month. Financing, I'm not really sure how to answer that because it's mostly finance. Like the financing of the treasury happens organically through bonding. So we don't necessarily need financing in the contemporary sense, is that as people get involved with YAPDAO and see the benefit of staking and bonding their coins into the system and receiving income from that, is that the ecosystem starts to finance and build itself. So that's kind of one of the great things about utilizing this model, is we don't go the contemporary route and put our hand out and ask for financing. Is everybody as a community finances YAPDAO because we all have an interest in its prosperity.
Okay, awesome. Yeah.
Thank you.
So everyone can give money, can help to financing. Awesome. Thanks for sharing. We learned a lot. I wish, yeah. By the way, I remember you said your project would give some YAPDAO tokens to the first 200 listeners, right?
Yes, of course. So we have to make sure, I know we were having some issues with that in our test run. We have to make sure that everybody was here, especially the people who asked questions. Thank you so much for asking questions. Yeah, definitely. Let's make sure that they get their $5 in YAP tokens.
Okay, great. So how we collect information? Actually, we provide a Google form. Now I will send to the chat box. Okay.
Don't forget, Phoebe, we have Yap Island _DAO on Twitter. If anybody doesn't receive their coins, no problem. Yeah, if you don't receive your coins today, make sure to bug us on Yap Island DAO, and we'll make sure that you get your coins.
Got it. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah.
No problem.
Okay, so let me go ahead. Now, so could you tell me more about the product plan of YAPDAO and more detail of why you launched the project?
I think what really drew it to me was the sense of community. I like the model, but I just think that it could be done, it could be improved upon in various ways. It's just, we're still on the very ground floor when it comes to all the value that DeFi can provide. And I really see this as kind of the launch pad to, bring about mass adoption, but, really is going to get beyond the scope of things that I wanted to cover today. But there's a lot of game theory that is involved in this in terms of, just the way things are set up so that they really force people to help each other rather than to work against each other. And as much as I'd love to talk about that stuff, I don't want to get too into detail because we're saving more content for more of these AMAs. And I wanted to save some of that stuff for the next one, if that's okay.
Okay, great. Another question is, what's your business model? How you let your YAPDAO achieve self-sustainable?
There's a lot of mechanics at play for sure. The business model, the business model is complicated. It's very complicated to put into a few words, but there's several things going on, and most importantly, we are taxing sales, and the tax of sales will be routed directly into the treasury. So we are essentially doing everything that we can and tweaking every mechanic to further build the treasury. And that's one of the things that we think we're doing differently than Olympus DAO, is Olympus DAO didn't do enough to protect their treasury, where we're taking every precaution that we feel that we need to, and also just listening to the community and trying to involve, what people think is best for the DAO as a whole, and not just limiting ourselves to, streamlined thinking of this is what will work. We are new in the space. We don't necessarily know what the answer is yet, but we're excited to try and find out.
Got it. Okay, so let me mention again. Actually, we will provide $5 of YAPDAO token. So if now you are listening here, please click the Google form to input your wallet address, input your information. We will give you the token in November. Okay, so go ahead. AJ, do you have anything else you want to share and you think we haven't mentioned, we haven't asked it?
No, I think, and like I said, I want to save some stuff so that people want to come back. We're probably going to be doing this once a month. So, if you have more questions, save it for the next one. And I'm going to try to put together another good AMA for 1 month's time. So I think I'll just leave my thoughts until then.
Okay, great. I checked the Twitter and YouTube chat box. No more questions. So yeah, thanks all for today's guest sharing. Yeah, if you had any other questions you want to ask AJ next month, attend their AMA, you can ask. Remember to post. If you have any other question, you can maybe connect AJ via his Twitter, or
Twitter. Yes, feel free. Yeah, don't forget. Message us on Twitter. We're ready and waiting for your questions. So feel free.
Let me put your Twitter on chat box.
Perfect.
Okay, here is AJ's Twitter, and also follow Moledao's Twitter.
Moledao too. Yeah, for sure. Don't forget, guys.
Moledao. Okay. So if no one else asks questions, let's end the AMA. And thanks again, everyone, for listening, and thanks AJ for sharing. Remember to follow YAPDAO's Twitter and Moledao's Twitter. If you have any other questions or you want to cooperate with Moledao or YAPDAO, feel free to contact us via Twitter and Discord. Okay, so that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, AJ.
Bye,
Thank
Phoebe.
you. Bye.